I've been noticing something really strange that I didn't understand. And over the weekend, I figured it out. And I want to share this with you because I think it's like, this is a really important thing. You will remember when Jimmy Carter was on this program some months ago, he said that the United States is now an oligarchy with unlimited political bribery. Now, what that means is that our government is no longer making decisions on behalf of the majority of the citizens. It's making decisions on the behalf of the oligarchs. Well, I've been sort of saying that for a long, long time. In fact, I think a lot of people have had the sense of that, if not the actual realization of it for a long, long time. But there's been weird stuff going on that I haven't been able to figure out. First of all, there's this so-called Freedom Caucus. Who are these people? All right, what do they believe? Why do they call themselves the Freedom Caucus? Who are they? Because they are basically single-handedly holding up Congress. They're threatening to bring the government down. They're behaving like anarchists. They have shut down the Export-Import Bank. They have shut down a wildlife fund. Right? This is where it gets totally strange. The Land and Water Conservation Fund. Why would they do this? Why would they shut down? Why would a group of roughly 40 members of the House of Representatives give a rat's patootie about the Export-Import Bank or the Wildlife Fund? That they would, to the extent that they would, in the case of the Export-Import Bank, shutting that thing down is going to cost us 186,000 jobs at minimum. And in fact, already the threat of, it's already been shut down. It's been shut down since October 1st, but the threat of not renewing it has caused General Electric to take their Waukesha, Wisconsin, I'm assuming that is. Maybe it's Indiana. I'm not sure which Waukesha it is. Take that plant and shut it down and move its manufacturing of jet engines to Canada. Why? Because Canada has an Export-Import Bank. They will support exports. What an Export-Import Bank does is it loans money to foreign governments or corporations that then use that money to buy American manufactured goods. And the Export-Import Bank, because they're lending money out, they're doing it at interest. The Export-Import Bank actually makes a profit for the United States government, as banks do. Banks should typically operate on a profit. And its sole mission in life is to support U.S. exports, American jobs. Virtually every developed country in the world has an Export-Import Bank. So why would the Freedom Caucus want to shut it down? I've been scratching my head on this for weeks. What? Why? And the Wildlife Fund, this amazing wildlife fund, Timothy Egan wrote about this in a piece called Against Nature on October 23rd in the New York Times. He says, the most feckless Congress in history has just allowed this program, the Land and Water Conservation Fund, to die. He said, in every town has preserved a pocket of the past, some scrap of nature yet unturned, a field where soldiers fell, or the childhood home of someone who tried to fix the unfixable. We've held on to these everyday brighteners of American life in large part because one of the most successful bipartisan programs in history, a fund that takes nothing from taxpayers. This is the Land and Water Conservation Fund. Neighborhood playgrounds, walking trails, bordering bustling cities, national parks, beaches, bridges, bike paths, birding sites. Everything, including the hugely popular Appalachian Trail and the memorial in Pennsylvania where Flight 93 went down, has relied on money from this fund generated by revenues from oil and gas leases. Oh, wait a minute. The Freedom Caucus is opposed to a wildlife fund that is paid for to the tune of $2.5 million a day from charging a very small fee on oil and gas produced in the United States. So if you do away with that, any domestic oil company would become more profitable. Like, say, Koch Industries. Might that have something to do with, why Representative Rob Bishop of Utah, who's the chairman of the House Natural Resources Committee, Timothy Egan says he's the villain in this piece, a grim-faced ideologue who clearly doesn't like public land or parks. Well, what if he doesn't care? Maybe he thinks they're just fine. He just doesn't want the Koch brothers to have to pay for them. Egan notes this money has helped to protect places in all 50 states and 98% of American counties, but the program is dead now as of October 1st. So, to the extent that Koch Industries or any other oil company might be, drilling and refining American offshore oil, they've been paying this $2.5 million a day to this fund. It has stopped. Similarly, the Export-Import Bank. Why would anybody hate the Export-Import Bank? Well, according to Veronique de Rugy, R-U-G-Y, I may be mispronouncing, but she's with the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. The Mercatus Center, by the way, is one of the projects of the Koch family foundations, according to Steve Lohr in the New York Times. So who benefits from the Export-Import Bank? Well, it turns out the top 10 were all either foreign oil companies or airlines. The authors singled out the subsidies to foreign oil companies. The Export-Import Bank, again, helps American manufacturers export things. So if, for example, British Petroleum wants to drill someplace and they want to buy drilling pipe made in the United States, the Export-Import Bank will help finance that deal. Doesn't cost us anything. It actually creates more jobs in America, but you could argue it's a subsidy of BP. And this is what they said, the Koch-funded Mercatus Center at George Mason University. They said, quote, the federal government doubly disadvantages U.S. energy firms, I'm assuming that would include Koch Industries, through Washington's excessive regulation and Export-Import Bank subsidies to U.S. firms' foreign competitors. Okay, so it's starting to make sense. The Koch brothers don't want the Export-Import Bank because it benefits their competitors. And they don't want the Wildlife Fund because it's paid for by money from the oil and gas industry. So how do they own these politicians? Well, again, there's this amazing thing, the Freedom Caucus in Politico. This was last week. And the article is titled Club for Growth and Koch Nurtured Freedom Caucus. And they look at the largest recipients of who gives the money to the so-called Freedom Caucus. The number one group that funds them, Club for Growth, almost $2 million. The number two group that funds them, and Club for Growth, by the way, funded by the Koch brothers, among others. The number two funder of the guys in the Freedom Caucus is Koch Industries. You combine the two of them, and it's like more than half of all of their money. So, at least according to this article in Politico, if I'm reading it correctly. So, why are we calling them the Freedom Caucus? Why are we not calling them the Koch Industries Caucus or the Koch Caucus? And why is the media not pointing out that this whole opposition to the Export-Import Bank is because it helps people who compete with the Koch brothers, and the whole opposition to having a wildlife fund is because it's paid for by Koch Industries in part?
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
When is our media going to get honest about our oligarchy? And when are we going to start actually talking about the oligarchs and the politicians that they own?